So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dearly respected brothers and sisters who are viewing this, who are watching this. This is our first session of Heart to Heart, which is a online discussion platform where we do host a guest speaker. And today's guest speaker is Brother Ali from the UK, who is a doctor, entrepreneur, and also a YouTuber as well. Brother Ali, would you like to briefly introduce yourself and tell us what you do, and we'll go from there.
Sure. I mean, I was going to say I'm a doctor and YouTuber, but you've stolen my line. So my name is Ali. I'm a doctor working in the UK, and I make YouTube videos on the side about productivity, tech, and study tips for students. I'm still trying to figure out how to say that in like a nice, crisp, concise way.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm like, I just kind of do a bit of everything, but it's not very brandable. I don't know. Have you guys got any ideas on that front?
I think I've watched one of your videos, and you were saying that that you prefer to be known as the doctor and not so much YouTuber, because I think that's like a long-term sort of approach on what you actually are looking forward to do. So I think doctor will be the number one up there.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Potentially, I'm in the process of changing my mind in that front.
Oh, really?
Crisis where I'm not really sure what I want to do with my life. But I think everyone goes through that when you. I think once you sort of at university / graduate from university, you're like, damn, what do I really want to do?
Of course, I think we've all been through that. We do have. I've got a question actually. Just this is in regards to your sort of entrepreneurship journey and your online medical tutoring program as well. When did you realize that was sort of the right idea, and yes, this is it, we can go forward with this and build up on it? Or did it come through sort of, I believe you had 5 failures in your previous ideas and whatnot. Did it sort of come after the failures, or was it a build up into finding out that this is the right idea? How did you come about figuring that out?
Yeah, so every year since about the age of 13, me and my friends would come up with a new business idea, and every year they all failed. Failed is a strong word. Like, they were all learning experiences, and we should be reframing failure as a learning opportunity anyway.
Definitely.
But then when I was 18, 19, that was when I had the idea that, hey, I'm at university now. I'm at a pretty decent university. I did all right in this medical entrance exam. Why don't I just make a course teaching people how to do it? And because I'd been making websites for the past 6 years in high school, I don't know if you call it secondary school.
Secondary here as well. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I knew how to make a website look pretty. And at the time, in like 2013, it wasn't as easy to make a website look pretty as it is now. And so I was like, right, well, I want to do this course, but instead of just doing it for the local school, we ran it at Southend Mosque in Essex for the first time for like 7 kids. I was like, why don't we just make a website and market it nationally? And so that year we got like 120 students across 5 classes that sold out. And then I was like, okay, there's really something here. And that was kind of the idea that really stuck.
I see. Yeah.
Sorry. One thing I wanted to ask is, did you perfect your idea and then put it out there, or?
Oh God, no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I had the idea one night during Tarawih because it was Ramadan. Because you know that your mind tends to wander.
Yeah, especially after some long prayers.
Yeah, mate. It was like my mind was like full on wandering mode, and I had this insight that why don't I make this course? And then that night, because I was doing the thing where you stay up until Fajr and then you eat and then you sleep and wake up at midday.
Yeah.
It took me about 7 days from idea to the end of Ramadan when it was Eid, and the website was launched at the end of it, and we were taking bookings. I hadn't made the course material. I hadn't done anything. I was like, okay, let's start taking the bookings in, and then we can figure the rest out as we go along. And we figure the rest out as it went along.
And looking back, would you rather perfect it and then go forward, or do you like the approach that you took right now?
Oh, mate, there's no such thing as perfecting an idea. It's all about the lean startup methodology, agile, whatever you want to call it. Just getting out a minimal viable product and then iterating on it over time. And I think this is true of any kind of endeavor. And people ask me all the time for advice on, I'm thinking of starting a YouTube channel, but how do I go about it? And my advice is always that recognize that your first 100 videos are going to be absolutely terrible, and just churn out the quantity as soon as you can, because the quality will just naturally improve over time. Whereas we all get stuck into this thing of, oh, it has to be perfect before it comes out. It's going to be crap. We just got to live with that.
Definitely. Just a bit on your YouTube channel. We do see the content there. It's sort of you've got a bit of everything there going on. A bit for medical students, a bit for medical students. A little bit ad hoc stuff on like pretty much what you do day to day as a doctor, and how your day sort of turns out, and some reviewing airlines and whatnot. So there's a bit of everything there.
I know.
Do you actually have like a plan out, or is just whatever comes to your mind, whatever pretty much makes you happy and content, and you just go through that and just load it up on YouTube?
There is sort of a plan, and the sort of plan is, I don't know. There's a plan in that I think the stuff that I make should have some value to someone else watching it in some capacity. And I know that there's a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk, who you might be familiar with. Yeah. His mantra is document, don't create. Like, it's really hard to create content, but if you're just documenting, then it becomes so much easier. And so most of the stuff that I do involves documenting the stuff that I'm doing anyway in some capacity. And that seems to have worked so far. But now the thing that I'm trying to think about is what's actually kind of my target audience? What's the value proposition? Where do I want to take this in the next like 10 years, rather than just kind of doing a little bit of everything? So it's something that I'm actively thinking about daily.
So that pretty much comes to what you were saying before as well, where the first couple of 100 videos or whatnot are going to be a bit about everything, until you sort of build up and find out what you actually want to start, like, keep on doing. I think that's interesting. I think that's something a lot of aspiring YouTubers out there should know as well. I mean, like Brother Ali said, your first 100 videos or whatnot aren't going to be perfect, or even if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, your first idea won't be, pitch perfect, but as you go along, as you fail, you will definitely provide something near perfect later in the course of the
I don't know.
the
I don't
journey.
think anything is ever really perfect, but I think over time stuff gets better, and then
definitely.
Yeah.
And what was the because recording videos is pretty intimidating, because getting in front of the camera and just speaking to it, and then actually uploading it and saying, look, I made this and I want you to watch it as well. And what was that experience, that first time that you're like, okay, I want to record a video and actually put it up? Was it intimidating in terms of putting it on your own social media and putting it on a public platform? Like, let me ask this. Is the amount of unlisted videos on your YouTube channel, is it more than the listed channels, the listed videos?
Oh God, no! I've only got like 3 unlisted videos. The reason why it was easy for me was because, firstly, I was teaching something. Like, I started off making videos about the BMAT, which is a medical school entrance exam, and then making videos about how to prepare for med school interviews. And this was stuff that I'd been teaching through my company for the last 6 years, so I knew what I was talking about. I knew the stuff that I was saying was legit. So when you're making educational content, it's so much easier. Like, it's not like anyone's going to be like, what the hell is this guy doing? Why is he going out of his way to educate people on the internet? Whereas if I started off doing a vlog or day in the life, then maybe people would roll their eyes, being like, mate, no one cares about your life. And also the reason why, I actively didn't post these videos on Facebook. I just had them on my YouTube channel that had like 3 subscribers at the time, because I knew that no one was going to be watching them. And when you know that no one is watching, it gives you so much freedom to experiment and to do things. Whereas if I'd been posting them on Facebook as I'd gone along and been like, guys, please watch my video, that would have made it a lot harder. So I only posted, like, the first time I announced my YouTube channel on Facebook was after I'd gotten like 30 videos out. And I just finished my medical elective in Cambodia. And I was like, okay, I've got these 10 videos documenting my travels. Feel free to check it out if you like.
Yeah.
But I think that's another thing that that people do wrong when starting out with something. I get emails from people saying, I'm starting a blog, but no one is reading my posts. And I'm like, right, how many articles do you have? They've got 3. Okay, fine. Wait, until you've been doing it every week for 100 weeks, only then do you have the right to, expect or hope that people will actually read your blog.
Exactly. Also, like we said at the start, you're obviously a doctor, entrepreneur, YouTuber. How do you fit all of these within the time that you're given, especially when being a doctor takes so much of your time during the day. I mean, how many hours of work do you do as a
Usually
doctor?
sort of 9-ish hours a day. That's the normal day.
Okay.
Then a long day would
Yeah.
be like 13 hours ish.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
Like the thing is that all of these seem like a lot of effort, but actually it's all of that effort is just spread out over a very long period of time.
Yeah.
Like making one video a week, we could all probably make one video a week. It involves sitting in front of a camera for half an hour and then editing for a few hours. And we all have 3 or 4 or 5 hours a week to devote to this thing if we're passionate about it and think it might go well and care about it.
Yeah.
So it starts off by kind of finding these moments of time. Equally, when I'm at work, I have this thing called productive downtime, where being a doctor, people think it's all hard and stuff, but actually there's a bit of stuff in the morning, and then you take some blood, and then you wait an hour for the blood results to come back, and in that time you have a coffee, you chat with people and stuff. In that hour, I get my iPad out and I plan videos that I'm going to film that evening. So I try and squeeze kind of the productivity out of those random moments of the day, and all that time really does start to add up. And then once you've been doing that for a few years over time, you then come to the position I'm in, where you start hiring people, and you've got a team who edits videos and a team that writes content. And then that really leverages, it means you're leveraged up, and that sort of my time now does more things because I've got a team behind me than it did in the past.
Oh, so currently you've got a team behind you at the moment?
Yeah, so I've got a full-time video editor and a full-time writer, and I've recently hired a part-time personal assistant as well, which feels really weird, but yeah.
And before, obviously, you were doing all that by yourself. At what point did you say, okay, now I need a team? Or
about 6 months ago, I've had.
So it's fairly recent as well.
Yeah, so I've been doing YouTube for about 3 years. For the first 2 and a bit years, it was all me, and now it's kind of the team has expanded.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Akif, you're a streamer at the moment, aren't you? Doing any streams at the moment?
I just do just for fun because out of boredom.
Did that start during quarantine or?
Yeah, that started during the lockdown. There was actually one thing. There was a follow-up question that I wanted to ask. What was it? Oh, okay. Yes, I was gonna ask this. Do you, like during this lockdown, when people are at home, some people, yes, they are more productive than others, and then sometimes the productive people have that downtime, and they're just like, look, I just want to relax and whatnot. But then it's like a what's that thing? It's like a quicksand effect that you get sucked into being unproductive so long that you forget how to be productive. Is there like, what would you, I don't know if it ever happened to you, but I think I'm in that situation right now. I'm like, look, let me unwind for a week or two, and then I'll get back into reading and in all that. And then now I'm just like, my life's miserable. There's no set schedule. There's no, I'm just sleeping up, waking up, and then it's all over the place right now. So, is a personal tip for me, would there be anything that you'd be like, all right, look, I'm unproductive now. I need to make that transition back to productivity. I'm struggling with that. What would you think? And how has it ever happened to you, and how do you overcome it?
So the first question I would ask is, what is the point of the productivity for you? Why do you want to be productive? Like, who cares?
Yeah, like the thing is, it wasn't that. I'm just like, look, I'll be unproductive for a couple days and a week or so, and then I'm like, I'll get back into my reading habit and whatnot. But then it got out of hand. I
guess it's reading habits then. Is that why you want to be productive?
Yeah, just in general, reading, writing. I just haven't been on my productivity level for the past 2 weeks because I'm like, let me be unproductive for a couple days.
I mean, yeah, that's fine. It's totally cool to be unproductive for a couple of days. So the reason I ask is because it's very easy for us to be like, oh yeah, just be productive all the time. But unless you have a reason to be productive, like unless you have a good kind of why behind why you're doing the things that you're doing, it's really hard. Like the reason I get up in the mornings, on days off, is because I know that I have to make the YouTube videos, and making the YouTube videos is really fun, and it makes a decent amount of money, and it helps people, and so I've got that kind of reason to get up in the morning. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas if I didn't have that, I'd get up in the morning and be like, oh, I guess I should be productive, but I haven't got anything that productivity is serving. Equally, like I think this is why I struggle with the gym, because I think, I know intellectually I should be going to the gym, and I know that my chances of getting married are higher if I've got a slightly nicer body,
Yeah.
But these reasons are, they don't resonate with me as much as I need to churn out a YouTube video because it's fun and because people like it and because it makes money. Like those are very proximal reasons for doing the things. Whereas going to the gym for a kind of 10-year long benefit that when I'm 30, I don't want to, when I'm 45, I don't want to have back pain. It feels too far in the future. So I think the main thing is to figure out why you want to be productive. And then once you've done that and you realize that actually I want to be productive for these reasons, there's all sorts of different ways you can kind of boost your productivity. Honestly, the main thing that I would do is, the reason I think I'm so productive is because everything I do, productivity wise, just also happens to be fun. Like I tried watching The Mandalorian the other day on Disney Plus, and I got bored after 2 episodes because I was like, I feel like I'm vegetating. I feel like I'm wasting away. And I got up and, churned out another video because that's really fun. And so if you can make the things that you're doing fun, then you don't need to wind down or anything because it's just fun, right?
I guess doing that, making that video is sort of like a wind down for you because you sort of enjoy it. It's something that, when you're doing, that's your winding down, but you're still being productive, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's not work. And so I don't really need to wind down. And I think, I don't know, maybe I over-index on this, but I think this whole wind down thing is just really a story that we tell ourselves. Because really, if you're sitting at home doing absolutely nothing, how much do you really need to wind down? I mean, come on. It's not like you're running a marathon and you require that time for your muscles to rest and relax. You're just selling yourself a story that, oh, it's all right. I'm winding down because it's good for my it's good for my mental health or good for my mindfulness or whatever you're telling yourself. But actually, if you wanted to be productive and you could read a book, you'd realize that actually that's quite fun and wind you down as well. So,
exactly. Definitely.
It just reminded me what you just said, that whole thing. There was this book by James Clear. It's called Atomic Habits.
Yeah,
and so you've got it there. So it's got like the cue and then make it attractive and then the response. That just came into my mind when you were speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all interconnected.
Yeah. No, Samit, you were gonna ask something.
Brother Ali, also being a doctor, now people generally think, you study for a couple of years or not a couple, but a very long time at uni. And then once you get out into the field, that's pretty much it for studying. Is that the case, or does studying as a doctor never end? Or, what is that sort of, how's that plan out for you?
So it kind of depends on where you are. Like in the UK, we've got all sorts of exams that you have to take even while you're a doctor. In the US, you've got your boards. In Australia, I'm sure you've got other kind of qualifications. So the studying doesn't really stop. And there's all sorts of conferences and stuff every year where new stuff comes out. And that's one of the nice things about it, that you are constantly studying, but kind of over time as you become more specialized. As the stuff that you're studying is actually helping you in your day-to-day life, I guess it feels a lot more, it makes a lot more sense. Whereas in med school, you're learning pointless things that no one needs to know ever. And therefore it can feel demoralizing because, again, there's no why as to why you should learn it. Whereas now when I'm studying and I see something on the wards and I'm like, oh, I can't remember this thing about how this contraception is managed or how we do this thing with ectopic pregnancies. And then I'll look it up and I'm inherently more interested in it because it's relevant to the thing that I'm doing day to day. So that's sort of the type of studying that you get as a doctor.
So there's obviously cases where, or is there, when you sort of have, a patient and it's something new to you and you have to sort of go out and figure it out and then come back. Is that something that happens
every
often?
day? Wikipedia.
Well,
Wikipedia is so good for stuff like that. And I'm still a fairly junior doctor at the moment, so there's lots of layers of seniority above me. So what I would do is I would see the patient, examine them, try and figure out what's going on. And then I would craft a message to my senior on our bleep system, being like, right, I've got a patient, like, what's the important information? This is a 21-year-old lady. She's got pain in her right iliac fossa. She's got a bit of vaginal bleeding. She thinks she's 8 weeks pregnant. Her HCG is 63,000. I think this might be an ectopic pregnancy. Can you come and examine her, please? Because I think she might need to go to theatre. And they'll be like, all right, I'll be right there. Or they'll be like, no, I'll be there in a few hours. So I kind of pass the buck on to someone else once I've made a plan. And then, sometimes my plan is completely wrong and they correct it, but that's part of the learning process.
And just about like current times, obviously the novel coronavirus is out. How are you guys sort of managing there as doctors? How do you see this virus pan out or when do you think? Oh, the second question will be, how long do you reckon this sort of virus will continue on being a pandemic?
Yeah, so with the caveat that I'm not an expert on this, and therefore I know probably
Yeah.
as much as you do.
Yeah.
I feel like, I would guess at least until August
Right.
would be kind of lockdown. I imagine we're going to see the effects of this for the next few years at least, not just a few months.
Wow.
And
Okay.
in terms of kind of how it is, it kind of depends again on where you are. I'm in a quite small hospital that's in the middle of nowhere, where
Yep.
we haven't had too many cases. So actually, it's been quite pleasant. We haven't had too many patients coming in. It feels like a very teamwork, camaraderie type environment.
Yeah.
Whereas I've got friends working in London who are absolutely in the neck of it, and they're not enjoying it as much. So I think it really depends on where your frame of reference is.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. What we'll do, we'll end the discussion here. We do thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully this will be posted on Facebook.
Cool.
And if you've got any final words, before you depart, we'll hopefully see you again at our another show, if that's all good with you.
Yeah, man, that would be good.
Have you sort of enjoyed this discussion type thing,
Yeah.
or is it something that you've done before?
Yeah, I do a lot of phone call interview type things, but it's always fun
Right.
because we're talking about the stuff that I enjoy, so I could talk about this for
Exactly.
hours. So yeah, this is some good stuff. But yeah, thank you guys for having me. It's very gracious.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right, well, all the best with your productivity journeys.
No worries. Will do.